Okay, okay, we are live. I'm Michael Kingswood. I write fiction for fun and profit. This is story time, and we're doing another live stream. Don't do these as often as I probably should, but I wanted to do one today. Yes, I meant to last week and didn't. So a few things to talk about in terms of life, the universe, and everything of writing and fun and what have yous. And so a number of subjects that I've collected over the last few days to talk through. And let's just get to it. Glad you guys are here. Hope you guys are having fun. Before we do anything else, I wanted to point out that this book right behind me on the wall is my latest, Warfare Qualified. It is a military science fiction book, which is awesome, that you're going to like. And so a number of people have liked it already. You can see here the Amazon page. Reviews are starting to come in, and people are psyched about it. Not a whole lot of people, but some are. And going to be doing some more. It's the newest one. It's out for a week and a half now. I'm kind of excited because BookBub, which is a big book promotion site, is doing a little new release feature on it tomorrow. So hopefully more people will come in and enjoy it from there. And, it'll be good. I made this cool little video. I always like to show it, to promote it. So I'm going to do that here before we do anything else. Check this out. Yeah, so that is out. People are liking it, getting high marks from the folks who've read it, and go check it out. The first chapter is posted on my Substack, michaelkingswood.substack.com. You got to scroll back. Actually, no, it's pinned to the top of my page there, so you should be able to find it. Read through that first chapter. If you dig it, check it out. If not, check it out anyway. Anyway, number of things to talk through is that I found over the last week and a half or so. And first thing I want to do something a little more that I don't do a whole lot of it. You hear my dog in the background? She's so sweet. She barks a lot though. Anyway, I'm going to do something I don't do a whole lot, and that's go back and talk about me. A thing that I did, talked about a while ago, which was the thing I did on the video about a week ago. Check this out. Anyway, so Nightwish, established in 1996. I didn't discover them until late 2020, and I have no idea how I could have been so foolish to not do that, but that's where it was. And their 30-year anniversary is coming up next year, just like the 250 for the States. And I was thinking, I was like, man, wouldn't it, they've had 3 singers, 3 bassists now. And it's like, wouldn't it be awesome if they did like a anniversary tour, or even just a couple of special concerts, get all 3 singers back together and the bassists back together, and just, but I was like, oh man, but there's so much there's bad blood. I don't know if that'd be possible, but I just saw this today, and it makes me think maybe something like that might be. Check out what Tuomas and Tarja here are saying about each other.
Ne 9 vuotta yhteistä matkaa antoi meille molemmille tahoille.
Anyway, that video clip showed that they were both saying how much they liked each other and liked working together. And I was like, oh, could it be possible? Could it be possible? Oh, this would be great. I'd fly across the world to see a concert with all of those guys back together again. That'd be awesome. But alas, I saw this.
Tuomas Holopainen has just confirmed it. There will be no live show for Nightwish's 30th anniversary. Back in 2017, we witnessed a reconciliation between Tarja and Marco. And in 2023, they shared the stage at Z7. Their friendship has grown ever since. Many fans started asking, could the original Nightwish lineup ever reunite? Some hoped for a reunion or a one-time event to celebrate 30 years of Nightwish. But when asked about the anniversary, Tuomas Holopainen gave a clear answer.
It will be celebrated one way or another, but there will not be any live shows.
And what
No! Oh, Thomas, you broke my heart. You broke my heart. Oh well, that stinks, but it is what it is. But I figured since I brought that up before, I probably ought to mention it again because, shoot, that would have been cool. But alas, we'll have to, hopefully, I'm sure they got something else cool in mind, but not any of that. So, oh well, is what it is. So, there's a couple of writing video things that have popped up on my radar in the last week or so that I wanted to give my opinions on, and then we're going to get on to the real nut of what I wanted to talk about, and that's the Superman movie. But first, let's get through a couple of writing things. Now, this nice lady here, who I don't know who she is, Inky Bookworm, she's, 10 times as good at YouTube as I am. But I found this title to her video to be interesting. Why most drafts fall apart by chapter 3. And she said a couple things here I wanted to talk about, which we're not going to go through this whole 15-minute video first, I don't think. But one thing in particular struck me, and then it struck me in a couple different ways, and we'll get to it. Anyway, here's what she's got to say.
If your draft falls apart by chapter 3, the real problem started on page 1, and it's not your prologue. It's what's missing from your very first line. Readers need an instant reason to care. That's the whole job of a novel's opening lines. It's what hooks them, makes them want to keep reading to find out more. So let's look at the 5 most common ways sci-fi and fantasy authors fail to make the most of those crucial opening pages, and what you can do instead to keep readers hooked. And your
I agree about the opening pages. I don't necessarily agree with the opening line per se. I've heard, 10, 12 years ago, maybe a little more than that now. In the Writing Excuses, when Mary Kowal first joined it, she was telling about a time when her book got published and the publisher screwed up and left off her opening line. That's the first sentence. Everything else was in it, and she was crushed. She was like, oh, they killed the whole book. What would happen if Moby Dick didn't have Call Me Ishmael at the beginning? I'm like, well, it would have had the rest of the book, and it would have been good. I don't know that one line in particular seals it. But at the same time, yeah, you got to have something that's catchy and that draws people's attention. I don't know that it has to be one line, but definitely can't be boring. But anyway, that's just me nitpicking. But check this out.
draft moving all the way through. Number 1, no named character. One of the fastest ways to lose a reader in your opening is to delay naming a character, and a vague pronoun doesn't count unless you're writing in first person. You might think you're creating atmosphere or that the name doesn't matter yet, but from a reader's psychology perspective, it absolutely does. In those first few lines, the reader is trying to make sense of the world you've dropped them into, and without a clear character to orient how they can care about it, they're forced to process the scene in the abstract, without meaningful context, emotion, or direction. Let me demonstrate with a real example, though anonymized details, from the initial draft one writer sent me for editing. The fireball missed the witch's head, but the ends of her silver braid, swinging as she sprinted down the alley, caught fire. High action and magic, right? So why doesn't starting this way work? While it gives us the right fantasy genre promise as the readers, the action doesn't mean anything for us yet. We don't know why we should care about the action because we don't even know who we're rooting for. We
agree and disagree. I agree that that's not exactly catchy, but I disagree with the reasons for saying why it's not catchy. Let's go back and look at that text real quick. Hang on.
Why doesn't starting this way work? As she sprinted down the alley, caught fire.
All right. I don't think the fact that you don't have the character's name here is the problem. The problem is this is all fake details. That one of the people that I've learned about writing from has a concept called fake details. Right? Writers will go and write a thing. They have a notion in their mind about what they mean, but they just say a barn or whatever, or in this case, a fireball, a witch, a silver braid, an alley. Well, that means something to the writer who's writing it, but it could mean just about anything to the reader who's reading it, and it's vague, and it doesn't actually mean anything. Fireball, I mean, we're talking, something like this, or we're talking like a Dungeons and Dragons fireballs at 30 feet across. Probably not the Dungeons and Dragons one, but it doesn't say. Is it a red fire? Is it yellow? Is it blue? I mean, whatever. A witch. Okay. A witch could look like anything. An alley. We're talking a 20th century city alley. We talk with paved streets and dumpsters on the walls and, maybe a rainy night and a homeless dude slumped next to the dumpster? Or are we talking about a narrow medieval alley between wood-framed houses lit by the moonlight, with dirt streets with mud puddles in it? I mean, what are we talking about? A silver braid, okay. I mean, that's okay. She's got a braid. It's silvery colored. Cool, but the fact that you don't have a character name. Now, if you just said Fireball missed Heather's head, but the strands of her braid swinging as she sprinted down the alley caught fire, that wouldn't really improve this much, right? That's the real problem, is that these details are fake. They don't evoke a real image, a definitive image in the writer's mind, right? It's vague. I agree. There's missing that. This particular sentence is really missing, but I don't think the fact that they don't have the character named is the issue. And I kind of had a little bit of a reaction to this because this book here, which is one of my books, I actually went back through the first chapter of this because I do this in this book. The first couple paragraphs, you don't know the name of the person who's in this story. The guy walks into a bar. But I give a description of the bar and the description of what's going on in it and the who's there, what's going on, and he spots who he's looking for at the end of the bar. He goes and starts probing questions at this person. It's only a few paragraphs later that you realize that his name is Jeremy. He's an investigative reporter, and this person that he's talking to is like the captain of a ship that's got a mystery surrounding it. And I was going to say, hey man, I pulled it off without naming the character. It can work just fine, and it does work. But in all honesty, as I look back on it, I'm like, she's got a point. If I had just said, in paragraph 2, that Jeremy walked into it, walked down and spotted her instead of saying he, that probably would have made it stronger. But my point is that, she's got a point there. And it's definitely, you didn't need to know who's who and what's what. But I think the issue she's talking about in this particular example is less about the name and more about the details. But anyway, let's see what else she's got to say. Remember what? Anyway.
Fire. High action and mean anything for us yet. We don't know why we should care about the action because we don't even know who we're rooting for. We now know from cognitive neuroscience, readers don't passively receive a story. They start actively simulating it from the very first line. They're trying to predict.
I'm sorry. Didn't need cognitive neuroscience to know that. We've known this for centuries. Okay, the research, I'm sure it helps, but I mean, didn't need to research much. Anybody who's read a book understands this. Anyway.
What's coming next? Drawing on memory, emotion, and internal pattern recognition. But that immersive process only kicks in when the reader has something to attach those feelings to. So even in the first person, it's best to sneak in a name as soon as you naturally can. It's a signal to the reader. This is who we're with. This is whose story we're stepping into. And that's what allows the brain to start assigning emotional weight. Skip that, and everything else you show, your gorgeous setting, your high stakes conflict, has no one to live it through. And
well, here's where I'll disagree as well, because all setting is characterization. Everything. Whether you're a third person or first person, every little detail that put in is only in there because the characters whose point of view you're looking through notices it. So you and I can walk into a room and we will notice different things and pay more attention to different things and have different opinions about the different things we see, and our reaction to that, in this case the way it's described on the page, goes to the characterization of the point of view character. Right? If it notices the cat but not the cat's owner that the cat is currently devouring, because cats will do that because they're evil. Or whatever. Or if you only notice the wristband on the girl's wrist, but fail to notice the scab above her, up on her forearm or something like that. All that will go to show what cues the character's attention, what that character finds important, and how the character thinks about these things. Which is why all those fake details are off-putting, because the fake details, they not only paint a vague description of the scene, but they also eliminate the character completely. So just having, again, it's not just the name. All of this is characterization. So I think I agree, but I disagree, as usual. Let's go to our next thing.
Protagonist.
No stakes.
Number 2, no stakes or tension. But while naming a character in your first line helps a ton, it's not enough on its own, because without tension, there's still nothing for the reader to care about. Fiction feels real because it hijacks our emotional memory systems. When we read, the character serves as a neural proxy for our own experiences. Through a mix of memory activation and neural mirroring, we begin mapping the character's emotions onto our own internal world. But that only happens when there's something emotionally charged on the page.
Yeah, you gotta have something. Why does it matter? Right? This is why the cliched thing about a lot of times, one of the things people say never to do in a story is have the person wake up and go about their day and just sort of do, and then, on page 10, something happens. There's ways to do that and make it, have some hook to make it work. But if it's just some mundane thing, well, why do I care to read about this? Which is why you ever see, it's kind of a weird, there's a really bad movie called Birdemic. It's so bad, it's amazing. They spend so much time. It's made. If you never watched it, you should, just because it's like, oh god, this is so bad. I love it. But they spend so much time in the movie just showing pictures of the guy driving down the road, or walking down the street, or doing whatever. It's like, you can cut all that. Cut to the chase, guys. And so yeah, I agree. There's got to have something going on here. I don't know about all the neuro what's that she's talking about here. But yeah.
Something the character wants, fears, or needs to act on. Let me show you what happens when that's missing. Here's a real example from an early draft I received for editing, with details changed for privacy. Ada slid the ship door open and stuck her head in the stagnant, rotten egg air. There's some solid sensory detail here. We can...
Yes, there are. Sort of, but again, you have a fake detail. What is a ship door? What kind of ship? Is it wood? Is it steel? Is it fake detail? You got a name. Okay, it stinks like rotten eggs. Okay, cool.
And visualize it, smell it even, but we have no real reason to care because Ada doesn't seem to care. There's no
Yeah, but this is also the first sentence, and you just met her, right? The fact that it's rotten egg, stinky, that most people don't like the smell of rotten eggs. So I mean, I could give a little charity on here, but anyway, go on.
signal about what this moment means to her or what she's about to do. It's not tension, it's just description. Here's another. I reached down to grab the last box, staring intently at the writing. We've got a first-person narrator, a clear physical action, but there's no conflict, no emotional signal. Is this...
There's no setting, right? Reach down to grab the last box. How many boxes are there? What type of box is it? What's it look like? Where are we? Again, it's just one sentence, though. So now, a professional editor, I've seen this happen. They'll get a story and they'll just look at the first page and reject. You got to do that when you're doing through piles of slush. And they can tell instantly if it's something they're even remotely interested just by if it's formatted properly, but also just for the first couple lines of, is it, worth a darn? Because a lot of times people, they don't even know how to do a manuscript format properly. And then it's, if it's, I haven't been an editor, but I have had to read through stacks of stories for workshops I've gone through, and you sort of get a feel for does it grab you or not pretty quick. So yeah, first sentence you can do that, but I don't disagree with. Again, I agree and disagree again. Anyway,
memory-laden writing, a cursed artifact, a shipping label? We don't know because there's no tension to interpret it through. That's the real issue. Tension isn't about action, it's about meaning for the character. The moment the character enters the scene, the reader should start subconsciously asking emotionally resonant questions.
Yeah, because it has to be properly described. Okay, let's go on to the next one. I agree.
Number 3, too many in-world terms.
Okay, this goes without saying. You got the umpty schmats lying on the carbunkelfish, and meanwhile King Ingersplots doesn't like it, so he orders Sir Jurgen Gerschnamenflorsch to go get rid of the umpty frats. Right? You gotta ground people in something real, or at least explain what the hell all these things are without before, otherwise you'll throw them out completely, which is what she's about to say, I'm pretty sure.
This is one of the most common immersion killers in sci-fi and fantasy drafts, dropping too many invented terms too soon. Writers often want to establish their world's uniqueness right away. They want that speculative promise and to make sure they're providing context for the everything that's about to go down. But when your opening is packed with unfamiliar vocabulary, it backfires. Let me show you
100%. Let's see this example.
What I mean with a real example from an early client draft. Again, anonymized for privacy. The ethereal glow of the Valens shimmered through the pines of Nearwald, casting spirals across the cliffs of Elgareth.
Okay, so I assume Nearwald is a forest and Elgareth is a cliff, but is Elgareth the sea that the cliffs are above, or is it the mountain range? The Valens. What the heck is that? Yeah. Doesn't it? It sounds cool, but what the heck is it?
Beautiful, sure. Atmospheric, definitely. But immersive, not yet. Because we
Not even close.
don't actually know what any of it means. There's no character perspective lens to show us how we should care about the atmosphere or what it means. So all that effort you put into painting a vivid scene, it becomes too much noise to take in before the reader's brain knows what to do with it. Here's
another
why
one.
mental imagery is one of
getting into neuroscience stuff, which, okay, fine. Let's see what the next thing is.
page. Number 4, starting with setting or lore instead of character. This is
but all setting is character, and all. Well, let's see what she's got to say.
one of the most common pitfalls in sci-fi and fantasy openings, especially when the author has spent a lot of time developing their world. The temptation is to begin with magical weather, ancient prophecies, or a sweeping cinematic view of the landscape. Here's a real example.
You can do that. You can do that quite well if you do it well, right? I think there's a couple of the prologues in the Wheel of Time. It talks with the wind blowing, and it's going over the land, and describing the land, and Yaha, and Doom. And I'm thinking of another thing that I read, where it sort of does a bird's eye view coming down into the city and describing it, and then for what's going on a couple different ways, and then it finally swoops down into a distinctive character's head. You can do it, but you got to do it well with proper descriptives, proper whatever is proper. Not fake details, and that can be done well, but you got to do it well, and that's the issue. World building, excessive world building kills a lot of genre writing, sci-fi fantasy writing. In fact, Brian Niemeyer, I think have got his post called up to go through earlier. He talked about this in a recent post of his, and a couple people have on YouTube about how excess world building is just. They kind of tangentially blame it on Brandon Sanderson, but not really. It's sort of just using him as an example. Excess world building can be a problem, and a lot of people will do that. They will go and they'll just be able to spend years building this awesome world, but never actually write their story. And then when they do start to write their story, they talk about the world so much they never get to character, which is what she's about to talk about, I'm pretty sure. Let's see her example.
From an early draft with some details changed for anonymity. As always at twilight, and again at first light, the dusk veil crept down the ridge, curling over the valley floor and into the forested lowlands.
Okay. If we knew what a dusk veil was, that would be helpful. Now, maybe in sentence 2 or 3 they'll describe what it is. But probably I'm thinking you could do that without the dusk veil thing. Just talk about it a different way to be more clear.
Pretty prose starts in a zoomed out view of setting, but a novel isn't a movie where this might work better. There's no character, no reason for empathy to trigger those mirror neurons, no tension, so the reader can't yet care. Readers form emotional connections through relevance and simulation. In other words, their brains won't retain your world setting or lore just because you gave it to them. They'll retain it if they feel why it matters to the character. Otherwise, there's no emotional memory attached. And
true. Again, all setting is character. Character shades the description of setting. That said, it can be done. It's just more difficult. Yeah, let's move on to the next one.
Number 5, false starts and genre bait and switch.
Genre bait and switch. We're talking, let's see what she says.
Lines or even entire openings don't just confuse readers, they mislead them. This happens when the story starts with a dream, a memory, or a metaphorical image that doesn't reflect the tone, perspective, or genre of the book's core narrative. Readers might assume the story is one thing, only to feel jarred when the real story begins later or in chapter 1. Here's an example.
True, but you know what's really awesome? If at the end of the story you reveal it was all a dream, that is primo. That's how you do it. Not really. No, don't do that.
Example from an early draft I edited. Somewhere, deep in the slivered haze of memory, it glimmered. that one day.
What glimmered? The one day glimmered? Yeah, I agree. I don't like that.
It's lyrical, poetic, but it's also vague and disconnected from any clear character or genre. In this draft, it opened a prologue of memory, but it wasn't where the real story began. There was no now, no tension, no POV, and the tone was rather different from the more grounded, contemporary speculative story tone that followed. So readers had to essentially restart at chapter 1. This issue also shows up in stories that open with dreams, philosophical musings, flashbacks, or cryptic prophecies. These kinds of openings mess with something crucial: reader expectations. Recent narrative psychology shows that readers begin simulating the story almost immediately, using past emotional experiences, narrative pattern recognition, and internal predictions to immerse themselves in the world. But
Well, yeah, I mean, again, I suppose that neuropsychology stuff is good and all, but it really comes down to it, right? It's got a link to the rest of the story. And so, yeah, she's right. I agree. Depending how you do the rest of that opening, and if you weave it in well, yeah. So, all right. So those are her 5 things of why drafts fall apart. It's not something I saw. Like I said, I'm not going to go through that whole thing, but went through touch through her points. I mostly agree, but again, as usual, I disagree in some respects as well. I don't know about the neuropsychology stuff. I'll take her word for it. But, yeah, all good. All right, so the next thing I found was this dude here, the bald book geek, who is 20 times better at YouTube than I am. And this was from 2 weeks ago now. About why he's not crowdfunding, but I've seen a couple of things that he's put out, and he's makes some decent points about stuff. But this one in particular, I touched a nerve with me, not touched a nerve, rang a bell with me because I have done a fair amount of crowdfunding stuff myself, and I find it helpful, and I also find it, I'm somewhat in disagreement with some of his rationale for why he's not going to do it. But let's see what he's got to say here.
People have asked me privately if I'd ever crowdfund my book. And I know these come from places of niceness, but I've said no. But let's just lay it out there and be real and rip myself apart in the whole thing. So the short answer is no. The long answer is no, and here's why. So don't get me wrong, there was that time when I thought, write the book, build the audience, maybe launch a campaign. You know, the classic indie dream. And for some people that works, but not for me, not anymore. A lot's happened. I've had time to think, time to reflect, and I know now I don't want to crowdfund my book. And honestly, the book might stay on hold for good, and I'm okay with that. Sometimes it's better to just cry and admit defeat.
Well, depends on why. I generally think you should push through and claim victory, but that's just me. Anyway.
Be real. I used to love backing crowdfunding campaigns.
Me too. I love it. I do a lot of it. I am a super backer. How many campaigns have I backed on Kickstarter? Let me pull up my profile here and check, because I think, how many have I done? Let's see. Boom. I have backed 113 different crowdfunding campaigns. Look at all this great stuff I've backed over the years. Woo! And I have created 11. Look at all this great stuff I've done. Woohoo! Man, that's good stuff. I like it. So I'm a big fan of crowdfunding. I like it a lot. But anyway.
Books, gadgets, games, all of it. I was in. But over time I got burned. Campaigns that would take money and vanish, or send a half-finished product 2 years later that I forgot I even backed.
That does happen sometimes. So much so that Kickstarter and Indiegogo and the other places have had to put disclaimers up that, hey, you know, you're not guaranteed the rewards, which is because so many campaigns have failed to follow through, which is unfortunate. But most do come through. I know I always do. But yeah, a lot of these campaigns, hell, a lot of these campaigns that I've backed, I mean, to be honest with you, you know, I've received, and people have always sent me the 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 rewards, but I mean, frankly, sometimes especially if it's an ebook reward, sometimes I haven't been bothered to download it or just haven't really done much with it because it was some of them I was really, super keen on, and some of them I just thought were cool, and some of them I just liked the person who was doing it, and supporting them was more important to me than the reward itself. Like the other day I was talking about when I was talking about how stupid it is that the indie comic book jackassery that people, the tribalism. I mentioned one of the Van Sciver's campaigns that I backed. I backed it because Camelot, Cody, the race car driver guy, he was using it. Ethan was doing it to help him get kicked off on his first year driving ARCA NASCAR, and I was like, oh, that's cool. This guy's coming up in that. I want to support him, so I backed the campaign at the high enough level that was supposed to get the little die-cast car and one of Ethan's comic books. And I thought I hadn't gotten any of it. Turns out I did get the Cyberfog comic sitting there on my shelf. I just forgot I had it. I never did get the car thing, but I don't really care because I liked, Cody, and I liked backing his endeavor into a really cool, career thing. And just watching him go on and racing, it's like, well, I'm thinking that I helped him out just a little bit to be able to do that. It was like, hey, that's cool enough. Nice to have the car, but I'm not sure what happened to it, if it's ever going to ship. I don't care that much. I'm not sure if that makes any sense. Anyway, so that's my thoughts on crowdfunding. And as a part of my business, I like it because it helps me get, money above and beyond the Amazon and direct sales and all that sort of thing. And it's Kickstarter is another marketplace where people can see your stuff and expand your reach a bit too. Anyway, on to what this guy's got to say.
Or worse one, oh yeah, our crowdfunding's international, but we're only sending the product out in America and we're not doing a digital edition for the rest of the world. Or the ones that just never send anything at all and just disappear and lose their minds and have breakdowns on Twitter when people ask about their project. One time, it got so bad I had to get a lawyer involved to win back my money because the guy cut and run, but I had all the details. That's when I stopped backing things. And if I wouldn't give my money to someone else's campaign anymore, I wouldn't feel right asking anyone to give me money for mine.
Yeah, but the reason you stopped giving it is people weren't fulfilling their promises to you. If you go in and are determined to fulfill, it's not the same thing. Anyway.
And I don't have that energy. Tired dad energy is real, and I have it. I'm just tired.
Dude, I got 4 kids, 4 teenagers. I get it. Suck it up.
Crowdfunding is a full-time job. It's not just...
No, it's not.
Just making the thing, it's talking about the thing all of the time. Posting, promoting, trying to be upbeat, marketable, relatable, but not too relatable. Honestly, I'm tired of all of that. I don't want to be on all the time. I don't want to turn my book into a pressure cooker because it was already becoming that way. I don't have that energy left.
Well, that's a real thing. If you're doing any kind of a creative thing, writing is what I know. If you make it important, it becomes really hard to really do it well. It becomes more stress than anything else. But at the same time, that stress can push you to actually get the thing done. Right? That Warfare Qualifier there, I've been tinkering on it off and on for a long time, and I had let myself get, frankly, a little... I don't know if intimidated is the right word, but dejected over how long I knew it was going to have to be to do it properly and how far away from being done I was. So I just kind of let it linger and linger until last year I said, screw this. I did the Kickstarter campaign, and that kicked me in the butt to get it done. And now it's out to the world and people are loving it. And frankly, if I hadn't done that Kickstarter campaign last year, it may still not be done. Right? That lit a fire under my butt since I owed it to people now who had paid me, and now it's out. And I could say, yeah, probably would have gotten it done, but when? I don't know. So adding a little bit of pressure to yourself, done the proper way, can actually be helpful if you direct it right. And also depending on who you are and your mindset. Sounds like this guy's got a different mindset than I do. But I'm a submarine officer, so I'm I'm kind of hard to. You learn to push through things in that environment, if that makes any sense. Anyway.
I'm very happy in my weird corner of the internet. So this one's kind of funny, but also kind of not. There are people online who don't like me. I know they've
True, but that's true of everyone everywhere. So what?
made it clear. And I don't like them with equal levels of hatred. But if I started a crowdfunding campaign, I'm pretty sure... Actually, I know there's at least 3 people that would report it just for fun, because they're bored and petty. And I'm bored and petty half the time, so yeah. And they'd probably be eating dry cereal and refreshing Reddit tabs while they're doing it. I am only joking, maybe, kind of.
Okay, but... So what? Well, A, if you know who those 3 people are, you can talk to Kickstarter or Indiegogo or whatever as you're putting the campaign together and communicate with them and say, hey, I got these trolls who hate me, and but so what? What if they do report it? What are they going to report it for? If your campaign isn't something grotesque that's against their terms of service, what are they going to report it for? That they don't like you? Well, so what? But there are steps you can take to insulate yourself from that if you are that concerned about it, though. I mean, come on, man.
There's a little bit of truth in that. It's fun, but I just don't have the energy. And I'm not, let's be real, I'm not a big creator. I don't have thousands of fans waiting to support my every move that I make, and that's okay. I'm proud of this weird space I've built. But crowdfunding only works if you got numbers, big ones, and I don't.
Untrue. Brother, you have 20 times the number of subscribers on YouTube that I do. I've got like 500 people on a mailing list. But, no. What do you mean it doesn't work if you don't have huge numbers? I mean, this one's about to start. This one is for later in the year. But all the rest of these, except for this one, I have successfully funded on Kickstarter. And I funded another one successfully on Indiegogo. Right? Look at this. 100%, 342%, 257, 129, 299. So this Warfare Qualified was the best. 7 times my goal. You know how you make it successful? You set a goal that's not hard to make. Right? And then, dude, if you got 5,900 people subscribed to you and you're getting this, how many views did this get? 361 views in 2 weeks. That's okay. I don't know what your average views are. Here you go. Here's some 900 views, 850, 411, 2 days ago. Dude, you got more than enough views, brother, to do a successful campaign. But what do you mean by success? If you're talking, I want to make 6 figures, $200,000 campaign, okay, no. We'll pull back the veil a little bit. Here are those campaigns I did. Warfare Qualified. I made $2,000 on it. The others less, right? You're making excuses. How much money do you think you need, right? The first campaign I ever did was this one. I wanted to make an audiobook of my first Glimmer Veil book, and I set it up for half of the cost that the audiobook narrator would charge me. And so I got that much, and I forked out the rest of the audiobook funds myself, right? All the rest of these were not pure profit, but a certain amount of profit. I mean, the covers aren't hard to do. It wasn't making audiobooks. The other one that didn't succeed was this one, for the third Gloomvale book, audiobook. And I decided to stop with the audiobook things because it wasn't, in general, those weren't doing well on Kickstarter overall. So it's like, so how much money do you need? What's your target? If you want to make 50 grand, okay, maybe not. But if you only want to make $1,000 or $2,000, you could totally do it, brother. You're talking yourself out of that.
So what happens? The same 10 people I love and appreciate show up carrying the whole thing?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you have more than 10 people. You have hundreds of people who watch each of your videos. And thousands of people who subscribe to your videos, so they like you. Right? You only need 10. I mean, goodness sake, does this say how many? I want to say some of these only were in the teens for backers. This one had 70 something people. But you don't need a huge number of backers to have a successful campaign. Again, depending what your goal is. How much do you need? And how much can you don't have to go for a huge amount.
While the rest of the internet...
Even if it is only 10, you make a small campaign. Those 10 people help you out. And then you make the next one, and just maybe a few more people help you out in the next one. And then you grow slowly over time. It doesn't have to be all like that. Maybe you just do one campaign for... break it up into pieces. There's ways to do it.
It scrolls past. That's not fair on them or anyone, and
it's fair if they want to. If they like you and want to support you, how is it, and they're willing to and they like to do it, how is it not fair? Unless you don't follow through with what you promised, but that's on you, not on them. Don't say no for people. Let them say no to you.
Not fair on me. Because it shouldn't be on like that handful of people I know probably would back it. Because it's not fair.
If you finish the book without the crowdfunding campaign and put it out, those same people are going to buy it, right? It's so... I think you're getting a little... You are overthinking this one, brother.
Shouldn't be on their backs. And you know what? My book's on hold, and maybe permanently. And that's the real truth here. Right now, I just can't afford to finish the book properly.
That's why you crowdfund it. You can't afford it. You crowdfund it. Tell people, give samples. Here's what I got so far. Here's my vision for finishing it. Here's the goal that I need to help me finish it. And then they give you the people who like your project, pay for it. They get you the crowdfunding money. Now you have the money, so you can able to do the editorial stuff and whatever else you need to do to finish it. And then you can finish it and get it out to everybody, to those backers, and then the rest of the world. That's why you crowdfund. That's the whole point.
I can't pay for an editor formatting any of it. Even if I could, I don't think I have the mental strength to go through all of that again.
Again, that's how the crowdfunding is how you get the money.
Myself out there is hard. Writing the book is one thing, promoting it is another. And honestly, I've had enough of the book world. It's performative, it's fake. Not all of it, but a lot of it. Most people smile to your face and ignore you the second you're not useful.
That's true of everything. So, do it anyway, if that's what you want to do.
Pretend to support you as long as it benefits them. I'm tired of pretending. I'm tired of trying to win over people who aren't even real with themselves, let alone other people. I'm done with that. I'm just done. So what now?
I don't know. What now?
I'm still creating, although I'm not writing. I did write some poems about capybaras not that long ago. I'm still making things that matter to me, but I'm doing it quietly, privately. No big announcements, no campaigns, no please fund my dream post, just me. Stuff that I like. If the novel comes out, great. If it doesn't, that's okay too. Because right now, I need space to breathe. I need space. I need space to be a person again. So no, I'm not crowdfunding my book, and I probably never will. And honestly, that's the right choice. You hit.
Hey, fair enough, man. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. But let's not BS ourselves. It's not that you couldn't do it, right? If you don't want to do it because of all those reasons, you don't feel up for it, hey, cool. You want to just do it just for you, hey, cool. That's all you got to say, brother.
Hit a point where you have to put yourself first. And too many people go through hell trying to do stuff, trying to be big, trying to do this, trying to do that. And sometimes you just have to say, okay, I'm leaving now. You know, let's put everything on hold and do what makes me happy. That's what I do.
%. Cool. Most people are, well, I mean, if writing that book wasn't you weren't doing that to make you happy, you were doing it for some other reason, then yeah, okay, got it. Anyway,
That's it. I do things that make me happy. And I put myself first.
well, you certainly sound happy, brother, and I hope it works out well for you. And I agree, sometimes you got to put yourself first. Yeah, anyway, I found, as is obvious, I think, I disagree with this guy's reasoning about the efficacy and or utility of crowdfunding. And I think he's talking himself out of doing it for some bad reasons. But you know what? I like crowdfunding. I think it's awesome. I don't... I would encourage all independent people to do it because it's a great way to expand the number of people who see your stuff and make some money in the process. Like I said, I've done a bunch, and I've backed a bunch more. And I'm going to continue to back a bunch more because, boom, it's just great, good stuff. But, you know, to each their own. Let's see. So that's that. So those two things. Let's see. Oh yeah. So I just came across this lady, actually today. Talking. I haven't watched this lady's whole video, but she's talking about why people shouldn't put their books up on Amazon. They should sell them directly. Now I am a big fan of selling directly. Where is my? Yeah, because I've shown you guys this here before. This is my michaelkingswood.com/store. You can see all of my good stuff, merch, and other good things. Pretty much all of my stuff's here. Not all of my short works are up, but, you know, that's just because I haven't gotten them up there yet. But, so I'm a big believer in direct sales for independent writers. I've had that store up for a number of years. Made some money of it, not a lot, frankly, but the more I tend to do what this lady is talking to in terms of pointing people there first. But anyway, let's see what she's got to say about it, because her earrings are awesome.
Says, stop publishing books on Amazon KDP. Do this instead. So a couple weeks ago, I put out a video explaining why I quit Amazon KDP as an author and what I started doing instead, which is selling my books on my own platform. And I love the feedback that you guys gave me, but I wanted to explain in a little bit more detail how to actually follow the strategy for yourself. Huge disclaimer, I'm not saying not to put your book on Amazon KDP. I still get a little royalty check from Amazon every single month. It's not much, but it's something.
Good. Yeah, I hope you're telling people not to do that, because people should have their books up everywhere that it's possible to have it. Now, I've been up on Amazon since 2011. That's when I started publishing stuff before the whole silly Kindle Select, KDP Select thing came out with that people conflate with Kindle Unlimited. And so when that came out, I already had a couple novels out and various other on Barnes & Noble and Smashwords, and I was like, do I want to pull them from everywhere? Nah. So I never really bothered with that. Tried the exclusive thing on a couple of titles. Never was that impressed with it, and I always didn't like the notion of it. So I've always had my stuff everywhere you can put it, including in the last 5 or 6 years on my own place. And as I think it's better that way. It's possible I could have made more traction on Amazon earlier if I had gone the exclusive thing, but I think the main thing that held me back really was the fact that I was not getting novels out as often as I needed to in order to really make a splash. Here it is, 14 years later, and I've got 11 novels out now, something like 10, and a whole bunch of short works and a whole bunch of short collections. But that's not really, and that's not really enough to really. That's not enough consistency to really make a go of it. But the first several years when I was doing this, I was active duty in the Navy for a while, and then I had a program manager job and doing dad stuff and all the other things. And it's only in the last couple of years that I've really been on my own doing the self-employed thing. But even this, still, I'm doing other things to make cash flow more immediately than writing. So it's one of those things where it's like you do what you can when you can and as much as you can. And frankly, I could have done more, and I could still be doing more. But it is what it is. That I will say, I have made more money from Kindle, from Google Play with my books than I have from Amazon. Just historically over the years, consistently, which I would have missed out on that if I hadn't had it up there. And back in 2012, 2013, when Google Play was first opening it up to indies, and had this. People said it was this difficult process to get it up there. I'd never found it difficult, but a lot of people, there was a big, people were wagging their fingers. Don't do that. Don't put it up on Google Play. Oh my gosh. Because at the time they did a discounting thing where they would, if they would arbitrarily lower your ebook price just because they wanted to. And then Amazon would match that, and then you'd be, losing out on a bunch of money. But I was like, you know what? That doesn't always happen. And if you price your stuff, if you set your baseline price high enough, even when the Google discounted it, it would still be at a decent amount, so it wouldn't screw you up with Amazon. So I was like, I went with it, and I've made more money there than the other retailers. Anyway, so I'm glad she's not. My point is, I'm glad she's not saying to abandon it altogether, because every little trickle of cash flow is good, and all of them add up over time.
I'm not saying to completely take your book off Amazon KDP. What I'm saying is, if you put it on KDP, let Amazon promote that book to their customers and make sales for you. When you do your work to market your book, to promote your book, to tell people to purchase your book, you don't send them to Amazon. You send them to your own platform to purchase. And now once they purchase on your own platform, on your own website, you log into KDP, you order an author copy sent to be printed and shipped to the person who purchased on your own website. Now I'm gonna go through this in detail. I'm gonna do screen share.
Yep. That's I do both. I tell people, you've seen me here on the thing. I tell people, go to michaelkingswood.com/store or go to michaelkingswood.com/books2read, the number 2. The books to read site will get you over to, do I have the, here, the books to read site will get you over here. Books to read is run by Drafted Digital. It's a universal book link aggregator, so you get all my various books. You can click on the thing, it'll take, and you can select from whatever retailer you want. Here we go, Warfare Qualified, check it out, woohoo, and you can get it now, and you can go over here and say, you get all the different stores where you can find it, right? But I give people both options. I primarily tell people to go to my store, but I also tell them how to get to all the all the other stores, because I like to give people the option to do it the way they want to do it. I preferentially point to my store, but I'm not going to turn people away from that. When people sign up for my newsletter, I give them, a lot of people say, hey, give people a book for free for joining up your newsletter. And it's like, yeah, that's a good thing. But it's like, well, which book to give? And I have people, for a while there, I was deciding for people, and a few years back, I was like, you know what? Screw that. I just give people a 100% off coupon code for an ebook from my store. So they know the store's there and they know it existed. So they can get a free book and they can see that it works and that they get the book and it's boom, and they can read and they see the store works, and hopefully they'll come back to buy it straight from there too. There's ways to do it. Now, what she's talking about drop shipping from Amazon, yeah, that's easy to do. That said, there are services out there. Book Vault is one of the easiest ones. The one that I'm integrating in. I've been doing what she does, drop shipping from Amazon or Ingram Spark for like hardcovers like that Amazon doesn't carry. But Book Vault will plug into your WooCommerce site or your Shopify site or whatever and integrate so that it'll automatically generate a print-on-demand thing, and they'll ship it for you. So then you never have to go to Amazon again, which is nice. You pay a little bit to get it set up, but after that, it's just print fees per copy, same as if you're doing from Amazon. And Book Vault is a British company, but they have printing offices here in the States, so they can ship to USA, Britain, EU, all through that, and it works out easily. It integrates well. I just haven't gotten it fully set up yet. But anyway, so there's ways to do it beyond what she's saying, but yeah, what she's saying is a good thing. Anyway,
I'm going to take you through the strategy so you can do this, but I want you to really, really pay attention to why I stopped putting my book on Amazon KDP. So let's say, for example, I'm selling a copy of this book for $10. Now, if I have it on Amazon KDP, this is what I'm going to make per sale. Now, if I have it for sale on my own website, this is what I make per sale. Why? Because on Amazon KDP's platform, they charge you for the cost of printing and shipping that book. They charge you their royalty rate as well. They take a little fee, and you have to pay them for printing and shipping. Now, if I just put this on my own website as an ebook, I get to keep the whole thing. It's just, in my opinion, it's just a better business strategy. That's all it is.
yeah, as opposed to keeping, because as opposed to KDP, if you're selling a print book that you put up through the KDP site, you get a 40% royalty off the price. If you take a similar book, you're going to end up netting about 60% if you do it yourself, plus or minus a little bit, because you got to, well, if you charge shipping and include sales tax on your thing too, it's like, if you take the sales tax and shipping out of your cut, then it's less, right? But yeah, you make more. You just have an extra step to go through. But yeah, I agree. Agree with her completely.
I'm not saying that you cannot publish on Amazon KDP. Some people were like a little bit offended. Like they're like, ugh. I just want for all of us as women of Christ to take the power back into our own hands and choose what profit we're making in our business. In my opinion, it should not be a billion-dollar company telling me how much I can make when I sell a book. No, ma'am. It should be me as the CEO of my own business deciding what my profit margin is per book. And that's all I'm saying, is to give you...
Well, in fairness, I get what she's saying, but it's not this draconian... It's not this draconian, you will make less money because I tell you the Amazon thing. That's actual, expenses. I get it. What's the rest of her? I think she's just going to go through it. I'm scanning through the rest of this video here. It looks like she's just going to do a step-by-step of how to do that, which, we'll see what she's going to say.
Give yourself the opportunity to make more money per sale. Don't let Amazon tell you how much you're allowed to make for your books that you wrote, You did the hard work to put. You did the hard work to format and to design and to publish. They should not be allowed to tell you what you're allowed to make on that book.
Okay, well, fair enough. Again, I agree with her thoughts there about the writers setting up their own store. Again, I do it myself. It's great. I love it. More people have bought a bunch of books through here, and hopefully more people will in the future as well. I am fine with people buying me through Amazon as well. All good. Or through all the other places. But anyway, that's it's kind of fun. I just saw that today and I was like, oh, I think I might agree with this lady. Hey, look, Joe Katzman here. Thanks for the chat, Michael. Good luck with Warfare Qualified. Thanks, Joe. Glad to see ya. And yeah, so far it's going well. Tomorrow should be a good big day for Warfare Qualified because BookBub's gonna run a thing on it, which should be interesting to see how, because BookBub is one of the biggest book promo sites out there, and I've never done a new release thing with them before. They always generally do get a pretty good return on investment with their things, but most of their promos are for discounted stuff, and the new release stuff they do is not discounted. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Regardless, we'll get more eyes on it. So that'll be nice. But it's going to be an interesting couple of days around here as we go through that. But speaking of eyes on things, this is, I mentioned a few minutes ago, the various campaigns that I have backed, and I pointed this out as upcoming, and this I want to take a minute here in between topics to mention this one. So Warfare Qualified behind me is a military sci-fi novel. This next campaign, which is going to be starting up here in a couple weeks, is a collection of short stories written in that same setting, featuring different characters, but you get more of a feel for the world, the galaxy, if you will, and get a little more fun while I start working on the sequel to that. And so that's going to be starting up here. If you go over to michaelkingswood.com/rigkick, that will get you over to this pre-launch page over on Kickstarter. You can click this notify thing, and it'll send you an email when the campaign kicks off, and you can get it going. I'm setting a nice low goal for this, like I told like I mentioned in the crowdfunding discussion. I'm setting a goal that's fairly low on this one, so we can be sure to make it. Not looking to make a huge amount of bucks, just getting some more eyeballs on these, because not only on this campaign you'll be able to get this short story collection, but we're also going to put Warfare Qualified on it and some of my other books as well. Like just expanding the visibility of my work in general. So hopefully this will go well. Around the end of the month is when we're going to start it. Generally Tuesdays are the prime days to get going on Kickstarters, I've found. And setting a nice low goal, make sure that you're gonna meet it, and so it's a good time. So that's coming up here soon. So make sure you, if you haven't signed up for, I'm getting an error showing that YouTube's not receiving enough video. People might be buffering. Well, hopefully not. I'll keep an eye on it. But anyway. So anyway, as I was saying, make sure you go over there, click to be notified on the launch of that next campaign, and we'll be going on. Right, so that brings me to the main topic I wanted to talk about today, which is Superman. The new Superman movie, which I went and saw on Friday. As I mentioned a week or so ago, I have been pretty looking forward to this one because I'm not a comic book guy. Like I've mentioned before several times, I've got a bunch of comic books and a couple of totes back there that from my high school days, primarily X-Men and X-Factor, Wolverine, and a couple of old Watchmen and things like that. was never really all that into the DC stuff. Never really read any Superman comics. As far as I was concerned, Superman was Christopher Reeve, but I always loved them. Loved those movies. I loved Christopher Reeve. I never saw Lois and Clark or Smallville, but I heard good things, particularly about I think it's Lois and Clark. Is that the one with Dean Cain? And I hadn't seen. I knew Man of Steel came out, but I hadn't seen it until about 2 months ago, when I went through and said, "Oh man, this new Superman movie is coming out. I guess I should go check out that," because people have been talking about it off and on for a while, and it was like, man, why not? And I checked out that and checked out Batman vs Superman. I was like, man, I really liked Man of Steel. I didn't like Bat vs Soup as much because it was a little more, not quite as tight. And frankly, when Gal Gadot first showed up, I was thinking that she was Catwoman. And I was thinking they were bringing Catwoman into it. I totally forgot the whole Wonder Woman aspect of it. And having her just show up at the end in the big fight, it was like, I know they were trying to set up their Justice League thing, but that part didn't really work for me. Anyway, so I saw those and I was like, oh, I actually really liked Man of Steel. And the first couple previews for this new one came out, and I was like, I don't know about that, but people were talking about how it was going to be much more based on the comic book, which I'd never read, and it looked a lot more bright and fun. And I was like, at the same time, I'd seen people kind of expressing doubts on all the online movie guys, the Doomcocks and the Friday Night Tightses and all the other stuff, and it was like people expressing doubts. And I was like, I don't know, man. I don't want to express doubt about this. I want to be excited about it. But Rob Burnett was like, dude, this is gonna be awesome. And I was like, yeah, Rob, I think you are. I think you're right. So I sort of turned off. I didn't stop paying attention to what these guys were saying, but I deliberately told myself, I am going to disregard all the previous movies. I'm going to disregard what I think it should be. I'm just going to be excited. I'm going to go and I'm going to see if I can enjoy it for what it is. And I tell you what, I loved the thing. It was great. I did something I haven't done before at movies. Just as a lark, I got me some collectibles. Check this out. Look at this. This is awesome collectible cup. Lex Luthor sitting on the top of it. Woohoo! I never planned to do this, but I bought the tickets. The ex and I actually get on pretty well. We do stuff with the kids all the time, and we made a family thing of it about the tickets. And they went and started getting popcorn. And I asked if they had popcorn bucket. I didn't really expect them to pick it up, but they did. Check this out. Look at this thing. Woo! This is kind of cool. Never bought a collectible popcorn bucket before. It's like, man. And it was also before I saw the movie. I saw the design for the popcorn buckets they had for Alien Romulus, and I was like, oh man, the one with the facehugger on it. It was like, oh man, that would have been awesome to get that, but I never actually saw that movie, so never got the bucket, just because, not that I don't love the Alien movies, but I was kind of like, no, God, not another one. I really wasn't interested in it, which is weird, I know, but since Aliens is one of my favorite movies of all time, but that's the last several have been kind of meh. Anyway, Superman. So I went into that thing and I was like, shut off my expectations. Let's just see how it is. And dude, I loved it. It was great. It was super fun. Superman was, dorky, but okay, yeah, he's supposed to be in a way. He's a big Boy Scout, and it was great. He's overcoming self-doubt and overcoming exterior challenges, and they met some cool friends, and they had adventures and saved the day in the end. It was like, man, it was great. But there's a few things about it that struck me as a little off-putting. Two things in particular that it just happened too quickly. When when Lex decodes the message from Krypton and sends it to the world to make them hate Superman, it's like immediately 100%. Immediately, everyone's turning against him. It's like, hang on a second, that happened awful fast. And then at the end, when they get the goods on Lex and spit it out to the world, it gets transmitted like that, and everyone turns on him awful fast. But it is what it is. I mean, it kind of had to be that way, I guess, for time constraints. It would have been probably a little more effective if there had been some debate about, hey, now, I don't believe, how do we know that? And they covered that. How do we know that video is real? And Lex was like, well, we proved it. And I was like, okay, there's no independent verification on that. Yeah, there could have been some more pushback on that, but, constraints of time. Those are my only real complaints. A lot of people were like, oh, man, worried that, oh, man, there's going to be too many characters. Look, they're showing Green Lantern and the Hawk Girl and the Mr. Fantastic. Mr. Fantastic was that his name, and all these other guys. And oh man, there's gonna be too many characters. It's gonna jumble it up. I didn't think so. I thought it was great. I thought all the characters that were introduced well, and they gave them just enough snippets to get their personalities through, so you understood who was what. And it worked well. Some other people, the whole argument scene between Lois and Clark in that one trailer that some people had trepidation over, when you see the expansion of it in the movie, I thought that worked well too. There are some people who still have issues with it, but I was like, I thought it worked well because it was not so much, it was an exploration of their interrelationship done quickly. So you instantly got the notion they've been together for a little while, but not too long. They like each other, but they're still not certain with each other, and they're still kind of feeling things out. And that came through in that sort of interview thing, which I dug. The only other thing, so those are some of the concerns I had to start with. The whole crypto thing, the dog thing. I didn't know that the dog existed until the trailer came out, and then I learned that there was a dog from the comic books, and I was like, okay, well, I guess that's a thing. And, you can't not like a dog. It's kind of an annoying dog in ways, but it's all good. The other thing I didn't, which brings up the other thing I didn't like, was the whole introduction of Supergirl at the end, which was basically from out of left field. It's like, oh, by the way, here we are at the end of the movie, and here's your cousin. Oh, and the dog belongs to her. It's like, what? Hang on a second. You could have spent like 30 seconds earlier in the movie to set that up at all. Like when Lois is like, you got a dog? And he's like, oh, well, it's more of a foster situation. All you had to do there was say, well, it's not really I'm just watching it for my cousin while she's, on another planet. It's like, you have a cousin? It would have taken like 30 seconds of dialogue to set that up, as opposed to having her come from out of nowhere. But, whatever. But I'll tell you, one thing I have been kind of astounded at is the reception from some of the online dudes. And I'm kind of baffled, not completely baffled, but somewhat baffled as to, well, not completely baffled, but somewhat baffled as to why. So I have a theory as to why some people online have not been liking it so much. But here, let me show you some of the things I'm talking about. This is from Nerdrotic. Right? He's talking about the plot.
Opposite. As a matter of fact, I'll just break down the plot as it goes in the movie. After an event that happens off screen where Superman stops an invasion from totally not Russia into totally not brown Ukraine or totally not Israel into totally not Palestine, I didn't see it that way. But if some people see Israel portrayed this way, well, maybe some people working on this film are forgetting who signs their checks and who their agents are. And then Krypto saves Superman so the Superman robots can save Superman. And then Superman goes back to Metropolis to get his ass beat by the Hammer of Baravia. And then Lex Luthor, who despises Superman for making humans like him feel insignificant, invades the Fortress of Solitude and steals.
He goes on and on and on with the and then doing from the pulling the and then thing from the dude where's my car. And this is a way of saying that the movie doesn't make sense, the plot doesn't make sense, just one thing tacked on after another, after another, after another, after another. And it's like, I don't concur with that. I think it did make sense. He's trying to say it's a jumbled mess by saying that one scene doesn't lead to another, they don't have a causal linkage between them, but I do not concur with that. But he's distinctly negative through the whole thing. In fact, just if you read the not woke but a total disappointment, this entire 20-minute video of his, half of it is talking about how jacked up the theater studios have been for the last 5 years until like right around here, and then the half of it is not talking about the movie. It's talking about how bad the studios are. Then you got. It's like, okay, well, he didn't like it. That's fine. But then you got here. Check this out with ads. This is another thing that people talk.
Any of it away, then you're going to be okay to watch this. Using this still image from the movie, to me, is pretty much a great summation of the film in general. Superman starts down at the beginning of the film, and to be quite frank, pretty much remains there the whole of the film. In actual fact, the agency of Superman is quite lost in a lot of places, and I'm really confused by that. So if you...
And he's not the only one. Griggs from Geeks and Gamers said the similar thing. So did Cannell. They're like, he gets his butt kicked the whole movie. Well, I mean, is he supposed to not have challenges? Is the hero supposed to just win through the whole story? It's kind of boring. I mean, remember Superman 2, he got his butt kicked a bunch. I mean, okay, one time because he didn't have his powers. But then when he fought the Zod and his two cronies in New York City, they got some licks in on him, and he took a pounding, and he eventually fled because he didn't want the people to be hurt by it. But it wasn't just a walk in the park for him. And he overcame some self-doubts and some missteps and some physical poundings before he finally won in the end, right? And Superman, the first Superman movie, he was pretty much, it was really just a mental contest between him and Lex. But frankly, Lex Luthor in the first movie, I love Gene Hackman, but man, he's a freaking retard. I rewatched that movie a couple times in the last year and was like, I realized, do you know that, have you ever noticed that I didn't notice it until I rewatched it just in the last year? It's like, hold on a second. Lex Luthor and Superman have never encountered each other. Lex knows he's exists, but Superman doesn't know Lex Luthor exists on the planet until Lex Luthor does the dog whistle and calls him down to do his thing to tell him his master plan. It's like, hold on a second, you retard. He could have fulfilled his righteous goals for California and saved the world from decades of degradation if only he had just shut up. And Superman would have been oblivious. He wouldn't have been able to do a damn thing. He would have not known that Lex Luthor was going to nuke the San Andreas Fault until after it was all over. But anyway, that's the old movie. The point is, Superman's been beaten down before. Hell, didn't Batman kill Superman in the comic books? I mean, it's not like Superman getting beat up or having physical problem. It's not like there's no precedent for that. So why is him having physical difficulties a problem? He overcomes. Yeah, sometimes he has to have some help from his friends. Well, that's kind of a good thing, right? I mean, that's why you have the friends. But also, well, not the only reason why, but I mean, that's why it's good to have friends. But the notion that somehow the hero, I mean, he's got to have a challenge. He's got to have difficulties. Otherwise, there's no possibility of a satisfying ending, unless you just want him to be, John Wicking everybody the whole way through the movie and killing everybody no matter what. But even John Wick got his butt kicked and he had stabbed and wounded and had difficulties. And hey, if it wasn't for his buddy, shooting his pillow in the hotel, or shooting the guards when he had his plastic bag over his head, John Wick wouldn't have made that through that movie either. Does that make John Wick somehow not have agency? No, same thing with Superman. How does it, just because he has challenges, sometimes just because he has to have friends help him, that doesn't mean he doesn't have agency. That doesn't mean he's not a hero. And Griggs was like, Superman gets upset, he's not stoic. Who says Superman's got to be stoic? Where's that written? He's supposed to be this unfeeling, he's unfeeling, robot. He's a dude. He's a good dude. He doesn't want, and throughout this movie, he is a good dude. And people kind of joke about he saves the squirrel, but that's just showing what a good dude he is, right? In the fight with the kaiju, he's going out of his way to make sure that nobody gets hurt in the fight, who's a bystander. And that sort of pampers him as he's trying to deal with it, but that's how he is. He's a good dude. So I don't understand Az's objection here on this one. And then we got, there you go, Griggs on Geeks and Gamers. Check this out.
There's a scene with Clark and Lois, and I was just like, why is this happening in the background? There's no need for it to happen in the background. Just give me a scene with both of them talking. I would love that. But no, there was something happening in the background. And I honestly think that it was to keep people's attention, because I don't think James Gunn trusted the audience enough to have a scene breathe long enough, or to have just a quiet scene happen without a joke or without something happening in the background, without flashy lights.
Are you talking about the space eyeball?
Yeah, she's talking about the space eyeball. She's talking about this scene here. And I couldn't disagree with her take more. And other people have, and Griggs goes on to say, I'm not sure if it's in that clip or another one, that this is BS because, the Justice Gang guys, the Superman's letting them fight it, and he wouldn't do that. He would never do that. He has to go and be in the fight to help all the time. Well, where's that written? But also, this shininess here, this is world building, my friends. Because in previous fights, when he's fought in the Hammer of Varavia, and when he's fighting the Kaiju, there's bystanders everywhere. They're sitting in their office buildings and watching it out the window, completely unconcerned. They were sitting at cafes watching the fight go on right next door, right? And now him and Lois are having this talk, this very important talk, for this great moment between them, unconcerned, as the Green Lantern and his buddies are taking it out behind them. Why? Because this sort of thing is completely normal in this world. That's what this is showing. That in the previous fights, everybody's just sort of sitting around not concerned because the metahumans have got it. They're taking care of it. We're going to be okay. It happens all the time. Nobody's concerned. Same thing with this thing. Whatever the heck it is, it's not about Flash. It's not about not trusting people needing to have a joke all the time. It's world building to show that it's just a normal. Nobody's panicking. Nope. Nobody flees the scene in any of these fights against these big monsters until the very end, when there's the world starting to fall apart because of the thing. Why? Because it's normal in this world. This is a normal thing of life. It's not something that people get a huge big deal about, and that's what this is showing. It's not I don't trust the audience. In fact, it's the opposite. It's trusting the audience to get an understanding of the world by showing it to them. I don't understand why this is so hard for some of these guys to see it. Well, I do understand. I think what it is I don't think these guys are being dishonest. I don't think they're trashing it just to be trashing it. But I think these guys make their living. And for the last 6 months, they've been picking apart every minuscule second, EFAPing every second of every trailer. And every statement to the press, they've been analyzing and finding fault and seeing if disagree, and they're so wrapped up in over analysis and over controversies that I think they're just stuck in the controversial mindset and can't break out of it to just enjoy. If that makes any sense. I don't think they're being dishonest. I think there is a certain amount of investment in I've been critical and I must be critical, or, you know, whatever. And some of these guys, whether this bunch of guys in particular, have been talking about how there's too much James Gunn. James Gunn went to James Gunn, and it went to James Gunn, so it couldn't be a good Superman. I don't know if the problem with James Gunn or not. I mean, I don't have to see that much of James Gunn's stuff. I liked Guardians 1. I liked Guardians 2. Never saw Guardians 3, and I don't know what else he's done. But it's like, it's almost like they had a bone to pick. I don't know. But I don't think it's really, I think it's just there's been, you get so sunk into expectations and overanalysis and developing expectations through months of just nitpicking that you go in with expectations and look based on those expectations. They're evaluating it based on what they think it should be, rather than judging it for what it is, if that makes any sense. And I did. Robert Meyer Burnett summed this up and said a very similar thing, and I think he's right in his stream on it last Wednesday, I think it was. Very smart guy. Coined the phrase, authenticity is the currency of the 21st century. And, you know, he's a Star Trek lover, so I gotta love him. There are many times when I find myself pulling my hair out over some of his takes, but at the same time, I love this guy. Never met him, probably never will, but I think he's awesome. But I didn't watch any of these reviews until after I watched the movie, because I didn't want to be tainted. But I think what he's about to say here is correct, and I think it's correct because it parallels what I was thinking too. Check it out.
James Gunn's Superman does what the Marvel Cinematic Universe took 23 movies to do. It does it in the first 15 minutes of this movie. And a lot of people are not going to dig that. They're not going to dig it. And for me, I'm going to be honest, it took me a while, because I had expectations. It took me a while. And it was kind of like, in a way, it was kind of like when I saw How to Train Your Dragon. I just didn't think the live action How to Train Your Dragon worked. And then I got about 20 minutes in, we saw it at CinemaCon, then somehow it clicked into place. Strangely, I'd never had that happen to me before, but it happened to me a second time tonight, where I won't give you a spoiler, but the movie was going along, and I'm following it, and then suddenly, click, I'm like, oh, it all snapped into place. And suddenly I was locked in on this movie. I now understood where I was, what was happening, and I started to fucking love it. At first, I was trepidatious. I was trying to figure out, like, what are you showing to me? You know, and what you're showing to me is everything. It's crazy. It's crazy. And you have to train yourself to go along with James Gunn. And it's different. On the surface, it seems like he's doing what he did in Suicide Squad and what he did on Peacemaker and what he did in Guardians. But this is a different thing, because what he's doing is he's taking a previous portrayal of a character that's been portrayed a certain way, and he's asking an audience that has half a century of Superman that they've been watching and they've got in their heads. He's asking you to forget that, and I'm going to take you somewhere new. This is going to be the biggest, I think, point. And I'm watching these reviewers who aren't digging the movie. They're trying to figure out, because they're still locked in on what they think a Superman movie is supposed to be, and they're trying to make sense of it, because James Gunn is not interested in any of that. He's interested, like he said, Guardians of the Galaxy was his ode to cinema, and this movie is his ode to comic books. And I'm not even saying that you have to have read comic books to understand this, nor do you have to have seen the Superman animated series to understand this. No, but you do need to you have to meet the movie at the place that it's taking you. You have to turn yourself over to the world that it's portraying, because for 300 years there's been metahumans on Earth. They are everyday occurrences. There's in fact one of my favorite things that happened in this movie. I'll tell you, it's the scene. It's one of from the very first picture we ever saw of David Cornsweet as Superman. You see that there's some kind of energy, something happening outside the window in the sky. That what was going on there was genius. In the movie, it was genius. I'm like, that's because that whole thing is world building in a very interesting way, and I was totally delighted by it. So I really loved James Gunn's Superman.
Agree 100%. And I was thinking it was world building too before I saw him say that, just so we're clear. Anyway, no, 100%. And I think that's the problem some of these guys are having is they are going in with their preconceived notions of what they think it should be, what they would want it to be, rather than with an open mind to accept what it is and then evaluate it from there, if that makes sense. The other thing, the thing that people are harping on is the Jor-El thing, the Jor-El message, which I guess this is a spoiler, but I'm not. If anybody has, if you don't want to hear about it, then don't. But the message, how Jor-El's notion was that Superman was supposed to come and kind of not take over the world, but thrive here, become, rule and have lots of wives and spawn more children of Krypton. And at first, when you hear about that, it's like, wait a minute, that does sound bad. But of course, what their parent, of course, they're going to want their son to do well. But people are like, oh man, you're tarnishing Jor-El. I mean, okay, maybe, but does that matter so much? It does give a nice internal conflict for Superman. And you see that from the beginning, because in the movie, because in the beginning he's comforted by the images of Jor-El and Lara, and in the end, he's finding comfort from his human people, because his human family, because he has chosen. He didn't have any doubts as to what he was supposed to be. He was there, he's the good guy, here to protect me, anything. Then he gets this bolt out of the blue. Holy cow, maybe I was supposed to be something else, and he gets some doubts, and then he chooses to be the good human being, right? And finally becomes truly a part of the world, as opposed to just being a loiterer, if you will, right? Because at the beginning, he's here, but he's still, focusing on his Kryptonian ancestry, the first generation immigrant, if you will. You see, nothing against first generation immigrants, but I've encountered a lot of people who, have moved here or when I've been overseas, moved to a different country. And they keep referencing in their mind or in thinking about how they used to do things in the old world or whatever. And I remember one of my college friends whose family moved over from Holland. They kept talking about how, medical's done so much better over there, or this is done so much better over there. I was like, okay, cool, but you chose to live here now. So how about you join us in the party here, as opposed to hearkening back to the place you left, right? Similar kind of thing in Superman in this, right? He's still hearkening back to where he came from, instead of, by the end of this movie, he embraces fully being here with us. If that makes any sense. And not just in his actions, but also mentally, right? Because he's cast all that off. He's not denigrating where he came from, but he's fully embracing where he is and where he chooses to be with his human family. Shane Davis had a great video about this whole thing, but I think this he talks about that similar kind of thing here in this snippet.
character. And if you read enough Superman comics, you'll come across this issue. And that's that Superman has like two father figures, and that he constantly has things being said by Jor-El that lead him in one way, and then whatever upbringing by the Kents. And you think they kind of parallel out or even out to produce Clark Kent Superman. But at the same time, you could argue that these are conflicting things in him. And even if it's not, even if both characters are written to be like they serve as inspiration at different times by different things and different events for Superman, he's able to turn to Pa Kent for inspiration if he's still alive, given the situation, or he's able to turn to Jor-El for wisdom. But most people don't understand that. That doesn't actually resonate with many people. Many people don't have two father figures. And if you do, it's probably because one's not a good father figure and you end up with a stepdad or something like that, or vice versa. So the dual parental figures, I think it can be a point of conflict in some Superman stories. Not all the time, but over enough time, it becomes kind of like weird. Like, who is Superman honoring? Pa Kent? Is Pa Kent dead? So he's in the memory of Pa Kent. But wait, he has this other father that's dead, and he has like video clips of him or Kryptonian technology that talks as him. And I think these things can be like, I mean, there's a lot of utility there in servicing whatever Superman story you're looking to write. But as a reader, I've oftentimes wondered, like, that's kind of just bizarre. This guy has two father figures. That's kind of bizarre. And I feel like James Gunn tackled that in a weird way. And I don't actually think what Jor-El, the message he sent, was as evil as Lex Luthor made it out to be. But it is threatening to people of Earth. This is, I guess, to sum it up, that the nature versus nurture, that, this is a super powerful alien from another planet, but raised by the Kents to be an asset to all of humanity. James Gunn nailed that in this script.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Not much else to say about that. I think Shane's got a great point there, which is parallels what I was just saying, and I agree. Anyway, talking about this for a while now. Long story short, I love that movie. I thought it was great. I think a lot of the complaints that people are having about it are, again, I don't think they're dishonest complaints. I think they're just rising from a position of evaluating what they think should have been instead of evaluating what is and what it was. And sometimes, and maybe a little bit of feeling the need to be critical because we need to be critical. I don't know, maybe. Anyway, that's it. Superman was great. I like my first ever popcorn bucket. And I like my Lex Luthor thing here. My cup. It's, and my dog's barking. Great. But no, it's great. I'm probably going to see it again because it was super fun. I don't think there were too many characters. I thought they worked all well together. I liked the dynamic between Lois and Clark Superman. I thought Jimmy Olsen was great. I thought Lex was pretty awesome. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more from Lex's dudes and a little bit more from the guys at Daily Planet. We got some small scenes with them, but they clearly had a good team thing going towards the end of the movie, but it would have been nice to see that gel more. Rob Burnett is of the opinion that there's probably 30 or 45 minutes more footage that they cut out, and maybe there will be a director's cut. That'd be awesome if there is. But yeah, I dug it, and I think I'm gonna like the DC movies going forward. I went and renewed my HBO Max subscription, which I had let go on hiatus. I've been meaning to renew it for a while because I wanted to watch The Penguin, but I know they're throwing out some DCU shows on there, and if it's done at the same level as this was, I think I'll probably enjoy those too. So yeah, I I had a few quibbles about it, but I liked the movie a lot, and I think you guys, if you haven't seen it, you should, because it's great. You can feel free to disagree with me. That's awesome too. Everybody has different tastes, but I dig it a lot. Okay, what else am I got to talk about here? No, I think that's about it. All right, as a reminder, Warfare Qualified is out. It's getting good reviews to start with. You can get it through Amazon. You can get it through all these other places. Where else is it? It's on Apple. It's on Barnes & Noble. It's in Kobo. It's in Google Play. It's everywhere you want to get it. But best of all, it's here on michaelkingswood.com/store, where all of my books can be found at maximum profit margin for me. And so that's where I would prefer for you to go. All right, so now tomorrow is Tuesday. Last week we finished up on the channel here the Glimmervale, the first book of my Glimmervale Chronicles heroic fantasy series. Tomorrow we're going to do the chapter 1 of Outdweller, which is the sequel, and then we're going to call that good. And if you guys want to read the rest of the books, you'll have to go check them out. And Saturday, we got Story Saturday, where I'll be reading another short story, and we'll be continuing on with more fun writing and just fun discussions throughout the week as I do more things like this. So I'm going to leave you with the promo video for Warfare Qualified, and then I'm going to sign off. Go check out the book, and tune back in here next time. Until then, don't do anything I wouldn't do.